The album is, it says a lot, and it means a lot.
Morgan Wallen dropped his highly anticipated 36-track studio album, One Thing at a Time, and it's quickly become a fan favorite, and it's breaking Spotify records, Billboard records, and if there's one thing Morgan can say, is that he's feeling pretty blessed.
Consider myself blessed for sure. I always kind of thought that I was going to have to scrap around and live paycheck to paycheck. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I had no clue. Music, just obviously that's not the case anymore, and I'm able to not only take care of myself, I'm able to take care of a lot of people, and especially my family. So yeah, it's a big time blessing.
Morgan also talked about how writing just really allows him to express himself.
I don't think that my thoughts aren't overly on display to people. I don't think just off of my words. I don't necessarily speak my feelings a lot. Yeah, definitely writing and singing is damn near the only way I can get my feelings out.
Now, this album is packed 36 songs, amazing writers. Ernest wrote on 11 of them, including Cowgirls, which he's featured on. He also has 2 other songs with features with Hardy and Eric Church, and he talks about how Eric Church has become a big influence on him.
Obviously, I'm a huge fan of country music. I'm a country music singer. I grew up listening to country music. Some of my biggest influences are Keith Whitley and Eric Church. I always had country music was more of a passive thing. I'm from the country, but I was not a huge, super fan of anyone until I heard Eric Church, and I just heard the way he wrote songs and the way that he was so colorful. I've used this example before, but talk about mustard on his fries and just, random things like that. And it just kind of let me know that you can say whatever you want. Yeah, Eric Church has become a big part of my life. We don't talk every day, but we talk, weekly. I respect him so much and look up to him so much, and I now have access to his knowledge and just things that he's been through, and mostly we just have a great friendship. We joke around, we laugh just like most friends do, but I also have I have him as someone who is looking out for me in a way, as someone who's been through this before, and super grateful for that.
And another big name on the album was Miranda Lambert. She co-wrote Thought You Should Know with Morgan and Nicole Gallion, and that song's already gone number 1, and Morgan talks a bit about that too.
Yeah, Miranda is, everybody knows how badass she is, and that's not just a front. She is a incredibly talented musician, incredibly talented writer as well. I actually wasn't even supposed to write with her that day. It was just going to be me and Nicole Gallion. Thought You Should Know is, my song to my mom. I had an idea of writing her this song for a while. Ended up writing it, and it's ended up being a hit. It's my most recent number 1, and got to have her in the video, got to, really make her a huge part of this song, not just lyrically, but just, visually as well. So my mom's a big hit back home because of it, and it's always going to be special for me and her. I wanted to write with a woman for this specific song just because it was for my mom, and I wanted a woman's perspective, a mother's perspective in particular. Nicole called me and was like, "Hey, do you care if Miranda comes and writes?" I'm like, "No, go ahead." So she did, and we wrote that song. I already had the verse and chorus of that song, so they helped me switch a couple things that they thought could be better, and then we wrote the second verse and finished the song out. So that happened pretty fast, and then we wrote 3 or 4 more songs the rest of the day and just hung out and had a good time. So we haven't wrote since, but we've talked about it, and I'm sure we will at some point. But I'm a huge fan of Miranda. I was before I even moved to this town, so it's cool for me to get to do things like that.
The song Outlook also features backing vocals by his sister Ashlyn, which was pretty important to him too.
My sister Ashlyn, she's singing on Outlook with me, so and I wanted my baby sister Michaela to be on the record as well, but she had just given birth, and I was real last minute about all my features anyway, so I'm lucky I got anybody on the record, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Ashlyn, me and her and Michaela, we grew up singing harmonies in church, and my mom was real musical with us growing up. Whether it was learning the 50 states or learning whatever, it was always something to do with song. Everything was music. So I kind of had no choice in that matter. But thankfully. And yeah, Ashlyn, I've always loved her voice. I've always wanted to do this with her, but I've always kind of been in a hurry, and it just never happened. And it almost happened this time too. But luckily, she came in here actually in this studio and sang, and that was her first experience, singing behind a mic like that, being recorded. So it was cool for me to be in here and seeing her be a part of that. So, and the song, is it's spiritual, and I think, just with the way that we learn to sing, being in a spiritual, realm of things, this song just made sense for me and her to sing.
Morgan also touches on Born with a Beer in My Hand and Dying Man. Those are the first and last tracks of the album, and two of his favorites.
Born with a Beer in My Hand is, just about being born into a family. None of us can help what family we're born into. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of indifference, just everything. Everybody has a version of a family that's a little bit messed up. I was lucky with a really good family, but at the same time, there was negatives. I think it speaks to that, and I don't keep a journal, but if I did, at any given day, this could be found on one of the pages. Dying Man is, if I'm being completely honest, there's been more than a handful of times where I probably should have died. And for whatever reason, that never really bothered me. But then, my son was born, and I felt like the idea of dying didn't seem so okay anymore. So this song is, dedicated to him. In the song, we're talking about a woman, but to me, it's really about my son. Those two titles, Born with a Beer in My Hand and Dying Man, just seemed appropriate where we put them. And yeah, there's a lot of representation of the lows and the highs and everything in between and in the middle of that. So yeah, anytime you have 36 songs, it's kind of hard to completely tell a story, more of a sonically, that's how we put the album together, sonically more so than storytelling wise. So we have 20-something country songs that I say, are more traditional country. And then we have 9 songs that are beat songs that are really, influenced by hip hop. And we have 5 or 6 that are what we call dirt rock. And that's more of my alternative leaning style. But we'd pick 2 country, and then we'd pick a beat song, and we'd do 2 more country, and then we'd pick a dirt rock song, 2 more country, and so on. And then the track list kind of just worked itself out that way. So I wanted to make sure that the sonic journey of the album was more important than the storytelling to me. Dirt rock is the alternative side of my music, but with us being country, it's dirt road, dirt road rock. Also, me and my friends call a lot of things that we like dirt, so it's like a double meaning for us, I guess.
Now, this album is definitely a lot more personal to Morgan, even with the album cover itself. Morgan talks about how they photographed the cover of the album at his great-grandmother's house.
My album cover is at my Mama Boots' house. She's actually my great-grandmother. She lived to be 91 years old, so she was a big part of my life all the way up until my early adult years. But she helped raise me. Most of the time it was me and my sisters, and then my cousins. There would be 8 or 9 kids over there at her house at most times, at least when we were all there together. So we had a bunch of memories there. She just had a huge impact on my life. She let me drive when I was 7 years old. She gave me a cigarette when I was 7 years old because I wanted one so bad. I never had one again until I was 15 or so. But she I just remember things like that, obviously. And she was one of a kind, and I also found out that they're going to be doing renovations on her house, so we didn't want to let that happen before I got a picture in the original spot. So I just wanted to, pay respect and show my love for her, and this album just seemed like the perfect time to do it.
This is really the first album he made as a dad. His son Indigo is 2 years old, and he talks about what it was like having him in the studio and just what it's like making an album as a dad.
Making an album as a dad is it's a little bit more challenging, just time-wise, But luckily, I got to have him come in here and hang out with me quite a bit in this room here. And he, my producer usually is right here and mixing and, getting vocal takes and all that. But Indy took over a lot when he came in here pressing buttons, and luckily he didn't mess nothing up too bad. But maybe you never know. Maybe he'll be a producer one day, but he seemed to enjoy it quite a bit. I know we all enjoyed having him in here. Just a fresh energy and just a good time. And I know it's something I'll never forget. And I don't know if he'll remember it or not, but I'll be sure to show him all the videos and pictures we took.
Morgan surprises fans in Nashville with a pop-up concert at Bridgestone Arena, which sold out in a matter of hours. But he talks about how he loves being on the road and how important his fans are to him.
Being on the road for me is fun. Luckily, because we're out there so much, I really enjoy it. You get close with these people out there. They become your family. You become a team. And for me, I love that because I've always been a part of a team. From the time I was 4 years old, I started playing ball, and that's all I've ever known. And I love that part. But these people, especially the core group of people, you really, really get close to them. They feel like family. You are family. Anytime you spend that much time with someone, you're either going to become family or they're going to leave because you spend that much time with each other. You either work out or you either become family or you get, you're fired. So, luckily I haven't had to do that a lot. I've just had a lot of good people come in, and I'm super grateful for the people. Obviously, I love playing shows. For me, it's hard to say which one I like more. If I like recording or writing or playing shows, but it's really hard to beat, going out to a show and you look over here and there's a 5-year-old kid, and then you look over here and there's a 75-year-old, grandparent. So, I don't really know too many places where people are just so equal and united and so on the same page as that. Maybe church, but music just has such a power to bring so many different groups of people together and so many ages and just a wide range of people. So I love seeing that as well.
Now, Morgan Wallen was a baseball player growing up as well as a musician. So with the Morgan Wallen Foundation, he really wanted to find a way to give back in a way that was really connected to him.
Baseball was my first love. I think that's the best way I can describe it. And once I got old enough to kind of understand the teamwork, I realized how much of being on a team is such an unselfish thing, because in baseball you're not going to be successful every at bat. Sometimes you'll make an error, but like if I'm hitting and I strike out, the next guy, I don't want him to strike out. I want him to hit a home run, because that makes the team better. That makes us all win. So I think we all strike out in life plenty of times, but when you got a team around you, the next guy, he can hit a home run, and everybody will forget about the strikeout you just had. So I think that's why baseball meant so much to me, and that's why it means so much as, being on the road. I think it's similar in that aspect. But yeah, my baseball coach, he always told me pressure is a privilege, and that's one of the things that stuck with me from day one. I understood it then pretty good, but I think I understand it, a little bit more now, what exactly he meant. Just to have these opportunities where pressure, goes hand in hand with them is a blessing to be able to be in that position. And I really look forward to that kind of pressure. And, I think I learned that a lot from baseball and from my coaches. Morgan Wallen Foundation is geared towards kids. Growing up, for me, I was exposed to sports and I was exposed to music. And I think that those two things really played a huge part in making me who I am. And I know that every kid isn't exposed to that. Every kid is not, they may be exposed to a version of it or, certain parts of it. But my foundation goal is to try to make sure that they're exposed to the right version or the best version of those two things. And, we're doing, it's a new project that we've got going, but we're trying, every way we can to make those things happen, whether it's, building a baseball field or giving somebody a scoreboard, or somebody doesn't have a music program in their county or things like that. We're working towards making those things happen. And we also like to, help folks in need, not just kids. This is an extra part of this, but, whether it's somebody had a flood or a hurricane or whatever, or somebody's hungry, we also do things like that. But, our main focus is kids and sports and music.
Right now, this album seems like it's on the path to break just about every streaming record there is. And if he can stay out of trouble, he'll probably win a whole lot of awards. We're rooting for you, Morgan. We love the album. So in the comments, let us know what your favorite song is. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And stay tuned for all things the Nash News.